Here is another video in our garage building series, and in this video I will be providing you with what I would consider to be the cheapest roof you could build for this type of a building. And don't shoot the messenger here, because there could be a cheaper roof that you can build, maybe one I will figure out later on. And I would also like to point out that this type of roof would be difficult to get ventilation in, therefore you might not be able to insulate it or install drywall in the ceiling. However, if you are going to insulate and drywall the ceiling, then you might need to extend the roof overhang about 6 inches so that you could install some type of a screened vent along that area. And let's not forget that I will not be able to provide you with lumber sizes for this project, because the sizes can vary due to whether or not it snows in your area. So we have full length joists going all the way across here, midspan blocks, and a flat ceiling here. 16-inch on center joists, and we're going to install some rip strips here to create the slope we need. And most of the time you are going to need 1/4 of an inch per foot, and we will fasten those rip strips to the top of the joist. And even though our span is 10 feet, you might be able to get away with some different sized lumber to save a few more dollars. For example, we would need something at least 2.5 inches tall to create 1/4 of an inch per foot slope in a 10-foot span. So you might be able to get a few more of these out of a 2x6. For example, you would be able to get 4 of these rip strips out of a 2x6 instead of getting 2 of them like we have here out of a 2x4. And to do this, all you would need to do would be to cut the 2x4 to length and then draw a diagonal line from one corner to the other corner, and then cut that line to create the rip strips here. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at the side of the building here where the rip strips are sticking over just a little bit. And this is because we are going to attach a 1x4. However, you could always raise the 1x4 up a little bit and stop the rip strips right here. And the same will be true for the fascia board, because you are going to have a slope at the top, meaning that you might need to use a straight edge at the top to figure out exactly where the fascia board is going to be located. And the reason why we are adding the 1x4 here is to provide us with a little more room that we can install the stucco or the siding under the fascia board. So we're using a 1x4 and then a 2x6 for fascia board, providing us with about 2 inches that we can slide the stucco under. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at how we are going to use the nails to attach the rip strips to the joist. And you can use whatever nails that you feel you need to. For example, you can use some 8D nails on the smaller section where it might go up to about 1 inch in thickness, and then go to 16D nails and maybe space them about 16 inches on center. And it might be easier, if you're going to build something like this, to attach the rip strips to the joist before you install the joist, instead of installing the rip strips after you've installed the joist. And then you can always toe nail the side of the rip strip into the joist when you can no longer drive the nails straight through the top of the rip strip. And you could always use some type of building hardware if you wanted to. And if you install this board first, you can angle a couple of 16D nails just a little bit so that you can attach the little ridge we have here to the rip strips. And that might look something like this here. Let's go ahead and remove the rip strip on the other side. So you can install this rip strip here and then drive a couple of nails through the ridge board into the rip strip, and then one toenail down into the joist. And you can also install angle nails or building hardware to connect our ridge board to the blocking also. It just depends upon how many nails you want to put into this thing. And if you are going to attach the rip strips to the joist, then you're not going to be able to do the method I just provided you with. And instead, you will just drive some nails in like we did on the other side, or use this method that we used on the other side to attach the ridge to both of the rip strips there. And then of course you can install the sheathing and you are done. So not too difficult, I hope. And like I said, if you are going to install ventilation, then you might be able to drill some holes through the joist here. And of course you would need one hole per joist space, so one hole in between each one of the joists. And on each side, you're going to have one over here, all the way through, all the way on the other side. And I really wouldn't recommend using any type of dormer vents or ridge vents because it is a low sloping roof. And if you wait long enough, I'm probably going to make another video to show you how you can do all of that anyway. And if you do have any questions about this type of construction, feel free to leave them in the comment area and I will answer them as soon as possible.